Everybody here? Arrived in the moment?
Yes.
Wonderful. My name is Philip, also known as Virgo. I'm very excited to give this talk. It's my first talk in person to a group of people, so that is very exciting. This talk is derived from a course I'm working on, a course about psychedelics. The course is called An Ultimate Psychedelic Beginners Guide, like the ultimate course for psychedelic beginners. When I look around at and I've talked to some of you seem to be balls deep into psychedelics. But I'll try to feel and navigate the talk in a way that it resonates for the group. And yeah, I'm working on this course, and this course is like 100 to 200 hours long, and I will try to kind of compress everything and do a fast pace of the outline and see if that's resonant with you, and then go deeper into some topics, but stay on the surface level to get the run through of as many topics as possible, because I think that's very, very valuable. Yeah, because it's interesting. My personal story with psychedelics started from the angle of using them alone for my own exploration out of curiosity, and then it led into just working with them for the purpose of self-actualization and self-realization. And many people get into the more deep personal stuff through the kind of partying and recreational use and having a little bit of fun. But this approach for myself, I feel like is a completely different perspective on the experience, and it opens up completely new dimensions of experience. So I'd just like to know, like, who here has done psychedelics? Wonderful. Who here has done psychedelics alone? Nice. And who here has done psychedelics alone in high doses in their bed with a psychedelic therapy playlist and an eye mask?
Not psychedelic playlist, but
Yeah. Wonderful. This is like my main focus, what I want to focus in of the set and setting of the experience, because I think there lies a deep, vast potential of experience and of other wonderful and horrible things in these realms. So yeah, interesting. So my main topic is like the responsible and mature approach towards gradual psychedelic actualization, because it does require a lot of maturity and also taking a lot of responsibility for yourself and for your surroundings. I'm gonna start by talking about the relative nature of these topics, because the deeper I was diving into this topic, I was like challenging my own perspective over and over and over again, because there is no map. We have no map for these journeys. No one has like the correct ideology, the correct way to do it. And everybody comes out of these journeys with their own perspectives. And just like it starts with our language, with just our vocabulary, just like coming into alignment and clarity with our own words. Because when I say the word, even not psychedelic related, but when I say the word mind or consciousness, could mean something completely different for me than it means to all of you. And each one has their own kind of understanding of these words. So I feel like one part is to get clear on your own vocabulary, in your own language, so you can first of all build this syntax of language to understand your experiences better, and then also to share them in a more true and authentic way. So just like all these words are very, very vague, and it's good to look at them and look at the definitions and what it means for you personally. Then also, as I said, there's many contradictory perspectives. Some say, oh, it's just a few molecules in your brain. Some say, oh, there is a spiritual truth that we can directly experience. And maybe that seems kind of paradoxical, but sometimes paradox is a part of this as well, embracing the paradox. And also, just like the journey, the nature of the experience itself is also so relative. Like each substance has a very different effect on me, and each substance has a different effect on anyone, because we all are our own organisms of life. And then not just the substance, but also the journey itself is vastly different from time to time. It can be two people in the same setting, with the same intentions, with the same dose of the same substance, and in two different occasions they can have vastly different experiences. Maybe one time they can experience heaven, and one time they experience hell. There's a lot of unpredictability in the nature of the experience itself. And it goes even beyond psychedelics as well. I mean, all of our lives are vastly unique and different. We are vastly unique and different. And just like coming into a balance and a peace with this tension of contradictory perspectives. Also in psychology, all these different movements in psychology of trying to map out our mind and trying to define it, they all contradict each other. Also some spiritual paths, some spiritual traditions and practices have different opinions.
And everyone thinks it's the one truth.
Exactly, yeah.
My truth is the truth.
And we can talk about if it's pointing to the same truth, but even there there's like subtle differences in the vocabulary, again, of describing what the goal of this is. And yeah, I want to start with the definition of psychedelics itself, because even there, like what to name these substances, because these experiences kind of escape all classifications of words, and now we have a couple of words that we use for these substances, but even all the substances in themselves have vastly different characters. So probably the most known word is psychedelic, and I'm gonna use that one for simplicity reasons. It means mind manifesting, psyche and the alone, or mind revealing the mind or the soul. And even there, just like from my own personal experiences, it's like, okay, but some experiences, for example with 5-MeO-DMT, can be completely mind annihilating. Again, depending on the definition of mind itself.
What do you mean with annihilating?
Annihilating, kind of annihilating, just erasing the mind.
Yeah.
And that can be mind manifesting in some sense, or soul manifesting, or revealing in some sense, but different. Like it's very vague, the word. And we have the word entheogen, which is kind of coming out nowadays a little bit more, which means creating or generating the divine within. So we say it is an entheogen, but even that is like, it's not necessarily generating or creating the divine within. It can be vastly different experiences. So maybe we could say we use these substances for entheogenic purposes, with the intention of generating or creating the divine within. And there are many words, like medicines. People call them medicines. But also we have reference points of people who are deeply disturbed by these and unsettled by some of these experiences. So maybe it's not, because I like the definition of the word medicine that I like is bringing into balance that which was in chaos. Bringing into balance that which was in chaos. And it's definitely some experiences, or most of them for me, have been definitely in alignment with that definition. But some are also very unsettling. And we have sacraments, hallucinogens, psychomimetics, meaning mimicking psychosis, which is kind of outdated, psychotropic substances, psychoactive substances, pharmakotheon, which means divine drug, that's what the Greek used to call them, neuroplastogen, entheodelic, non-specific awareness amplifiers, catalysts of the psyche. And then we have all these sub-classifications which go more into the molecule structure, which means we have the tryptamines like DMT and psilocybin and psilocin and 5-MeO-DMT. We have the phenethylamines like mescaline. We have empathogen, entectogen, dissociatives, amphetamines, deliriants, And we could call all those psychedelic, but you see there's a complexity in just the nature of exploring these different substances. And then we can have even more broad terms, which I like to use sometimes as well. It's like tools. Like a hammer can be a tool, but a psychedelic can also be a tool, or a technology, or a material, or a molecule, a substance, or just a drug. Like, it's all these words. But as I said, for the simplicity, I'll go with psychedelics, just to give you an idea of the sophistication and complexity of the topic itself. What I like to define clearly is, and which I resonate with, and which is relevant to the talk, is the way of the psychonaut. The term psychonaut comes from psycho, which means mind or psyche, and naut, which means traveler or voyager. It means a psychonaut is somebody who is embarking on inner journeys of exploring the mind. On inner journeys. And psychonautics, I like the definition from Stanislav Grof. He defined it as the systematic pursuit and use of holotropic states of consciousness for healing, self-exploration, ritual activity, artistic inspiration, and as a spiritual, philosophical, and scientific quest. Holotropic is also a word he used, which means holos, which means whole, and trepein, which means moving towards, which means moving towards wholeness or self-integration. So holotropic states is like a large subgroup of non-ordinary states of consciousness that have therapeutic, transformative, or evolutionary potential. I'll repeat that once again, the psychonautics, because this is kind of the main point of the psychedelic actualization as I like to use it. And that means there's nothing wrong with recreational use, so we'll come to that. Psychonautics defined as the systematic pursuit and use of holotropic states of consciousness for healing, self-exploration, artistic inspiration, ritual activity, and as a spiritual, philosophical, and scientific quest.
Wow, beautiful.
Moving towards wholeness and self-integration. I like that, because that doesn't leave out anything. It doesn't even leave out recreational use, because even that can be moving towards a wholeness of a sense and a self-integration.
This is more like, also like the role of the shaman, right?
Yeah. The shaman is kind of a
But like,
different topic.
okay, but I think it's also like, okay, well, I also think like that
Mhm.
is doing this role for his
Yeah.
tribe, like also for his evolution of the tribe, I think.
Yeah.
I think in the recreational use it also depends on the intention, right?
Yeah.
'Cause you can have
That's
the
what I want to
intention.
talk next about. I want to ask you, like, why would we want to do that, and what are the intentions and the benefits?
Mhm.
Any benefits that any of you have experienced during psychedelic experiences or from psychedelics?
Changing my whole life. Perspective on everything.
It makes you appreciate the tiniest things, and you can look inwards and connect a lot of dots and stuff. It opens everything.
Yeah, the inner child that comes out, playing.
Gives you a meta perspective on your mind, so like a lot of things that are unconscious normally become conscious suddenly.
It gives a lot of deeper meaning to things as well that you might often overlook.
Yeah.
Literally creates like, well, the divine and like sunlight. Like it's like sunshine.
I also got like physical benefits from it. Like for example, if I have like really sore muscles, after any sort of journey, I will feel better in my body. Like the muscles come loose.
It's kind of like you reset, like your body and your mind.
Yeah.
You're grounded again, or more like connected in a way. So you reset.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Also yawning a lot, like with mushrooms, you know, just like,
Mm.
I feel like, you know, like the nervous system calming down and
Mhm.
everything, like, oh, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, what I found is quite a few like over categories of benefits. One is creative potential. Have you experienced that? Creativity. Spiritual insight, as you said, seeing the light, coming into alignment, appreciation, also connected to healing, A lot of people experience deep healing. What I found is talking to people and researching, a topic that came up over and over again is saving the earth and humanity. It's like this, through this interconnectedness, or this feeling of interconnectedness, many people get ecological insight of like the importance of nurturing not just yourself but also your surroundings and the place you live in. And self-actualization, like working on yourself, looking deep within, exploring your own values, who you are, what you are doing in this life, and how you want to do it. These are kind of the overall intentions, and kind of subcategories of these exist, of course. And yeah, I found my top 10 values through psychedelic actualization, which was really nice. Like I was thinking, like, self-understanding is at the point. I have to know myself to even exist, to be aware of myself as existence itself. And then came divine love, because I was created from love. That was what my experience was. And I have to take care of my health to be able to walk and speak. Everything that I want to speak is truth, which is honesty, came up, and gratitude. Gratitude for everything. Everything I want to say should be true, and I should be expressing gratitude. Yeah, and setting an intention for a journey, like for a psychedelic journey, especially when you're alone. It can kind of guide the journey into a certain direction, or even give you a reference point after the journey to derive insights better from the experience itself. Because sometimes when I go into journeys without any intention, I just take a high dose of psychedelics and I see all this weird shit, and afterwards I'm like, what was this? Like, what am I supposed to do with it? I have no idea. And when I go into a journey with like, okay, I want to learn about who I am, or I want to learn about my definition of consciousness. What is consciousness? And I just go into a journey with a certain question. It can also just be a word, or it can be a question of, please help me to heal myself. And when I have this framework of an intention, it kind of, sometimes, not always, but it can kind of set the direction for the journey and make it more beneficial. And this is kind of how I go about these journeys for the context of self-realization and self-actualization. It's like, how can I maximize the potential and how can I minimize the risk? Because there's also a lot of risk involved in working with these substances, which I'm going to come to later. And yeah, so my kind of own exploration has been to build a practice around the use of psychedelics, because it's not just in the experience that we gain the benefit. It's especially before the experience, the preparation, and after the experience, the integration, what we do with that information that we receive, and how we integrate it into our day-to-day, moment-to-moment interactions. Yeah, and I don't know, you probably all know, but it can be quite life-changing, as you said, listen. Like, and life-changing experiences can be quite unsettling.
Yeah.
So it's just good to be aware of what we can be prepared for and prepare ourselves for. For example, I found changes in character can have a deep impact. When you have a deep experience and you want to change something about yourself, and you actually do that, that can have an impact also on your social life. Because then people are like, who are you? And I'm like, oh yeah, I found out this certain thing about myself. That's what I am now. And then that can be kind of creating tension or harmony. But gotta be prepared for changes in character, changes in social life, changes in belief systems, or like sometimes even whole paradigm shifts. That's what a lot of people who subscribe to materialism a lot describe. They say like, oh, my whole worldview of materialism has been turned upside down. And now I perceive the world in a different paradigm of more like energy-wise, vibration-wise. The power of a mystical experience. There's a potential for spiritual insight. And the power of a mystical experience is just, it's ineffable. You cannot put it into words, but when you accidentally or on purpose jump into one of these experiences, that can be quite overwhelming. Sometimes scary. And can make you like question a lot, and kind of being prepared for that intensity of experience can be very nice just to be able to integrate it better. Yeah, this whole process of transformation is just what we can prepare ourselves for. So, preparation. I have like 3 core points on preparation, which is traits, concepts, and practices. For example, traits, I like one concept which means 100% responsibility. Taking 100% responsibility. And that starts with the little things of, oh, I don't know how to source the substance in a pure manner. I don't know how to get pure 5-MeO-DMT, but I really want to experience that. Take responsibility. There's ways you can find out to source a substance. Oh, my parents are home and I can't do it at home. You can just, instead of falling into a victim mindset, take responsibility for the situation and work out a way. That's what I found. It's like there is always a way. And having this responsibility goes into deeper levels of taking responsibility for challenges that come up, fears that you're going to face, difficult, emotional, unsettling experiences, being like, oh yeah, I chose this. I am responsible for this. Not like blaming the substance. Oh, I ate 8 grams of mushrooms and then I felt horrible. And I was like, now I never take mushrooms again. But taking responsibility, 100%, even beyond what our actual means of action can influence, just even taking responsibility for that is very freeing, because then it's all on you. And it goes even way beyond that, which is kind of a little bit further out, which means taking responsibility for the suffering of humanity. Taking responsibility when you get into the deeper levels of the interconnectedness and you see it's all one, it's all you. Taking responsibility that you are all the people who have ever been killed. You are all the people who have killed somebody. And with that responsibility on the deeper levels, there comes a deep sense of suffering, oftentimes for me. But that's on the deeper levels, so I'm going to set that aside. Any other traits that you've noticed are beneficial to develop before going into a journey, or even afterwards? Like character traits or certain mindsets.
You can't be so stubborn in your beliefs. You have to kind of let go of what you think is true.
Yeah.
Because there's often not true.
Yeah.
Or there's many truths.
Yeah.
I think knowing it's temporary as well.
Mm-hmm.
You chose to take that drug,
Mm-hmm.
so knowing it's temporary when things get too much is a good way of grounding.
Mm-hmm. I found a key one is for me willingness to face truth,
To let go.
letting go and surrender is a big one. The trait and the skill of letting go and surrender. What does it even mean? You're like, yeah, I can let go, and then you're in the situation and you're like, oh, what is it? So now I have to let go of my life? Like, I didn't sign up for that. So letting go and surrender also kind of weaves into the practices. We can practice surrender and letting go not in psychedelic journeys, just in our day-to-day life, in our meditations. They all kind of seem similar, but as I said, the definitions of each word are very personal to one. So openness is another one. I found courage, especially in the higher doses. Sometimes I do not want to go into these journeys. I really don't. But when I feel like it is time for an experience of a very high dose, intense experience, I have to muster up the courage to actually go into that journey. And oftentimes that's really difficult, because I know some stuff can be very challenging. Being ready for challenges, leaving your comfort zone is a big one. Because
can you call an example
of a challenge? Yeah.
What happened to you? Why
We can get into that a little bit later of dangers, but an example would be convulsions in your body. You have losing control of your body, for example.
Okay.
You are not aware.
It's not something that's coming up to you, but it comes from inside.
Yeah, it comes from inside,
Yeah.
or a fear, a certain fear
scares you.
that you are absolutely scared of, and you just do not want to look at it.
Okay.
You have a fear of death, for example. That's a very common, or fear of insanity.
Okay.
Some experiences can be very mind twisting,
Yeah.
and then you're like, I'm losing my mind.
But it's not. You see, some monster coming at you who wants to destroy. It's really something you doubt about your own body at that moment.
Yeah, it can also manifest in a visual way. It can manifest as an actual image of an entity or a monster.
And that happened to you?
It happens.
Okay.
To me, very rarely.
Can I suggest maybe we do like questions afterwards?
Yeah, we'll do a
Now-
Q&A afterwards either
Yeah,
way.
maybe now you're still gonna go over it.
Yeah.
and then-
Yeah.
But just to
Maybe-
clarify, if your example is good,
Yeah,
fear of
you
insanity,
say okay.
fear of death, and then
Yeah.
being open and ready to face it. Because sometimes we like to think about, I don't know about you, but we like to think about it of all just love and light and rainbows and bubbles and it's all fun and but it's not. Like, especially alone, eye mask, going deep inside, high dose journeys. There's gonna be challenges. Deep challenges. And being open and ready for those challenges, being able to embrace them and work through them is a good trait, I guess. And there's so many more. There's so many more. Faith. Yeah, a lot more. Any other ones that came up for you in the last minutes?
Well, about experience, like
No, just like traits that it could be helpful to go into experiences.
Patience.
Patience, that's a good one. Patience afterwards, even. Just like you don't see change immediately, and then you're like, well, I had this life-changing experiences, but my life didn't change. Patience. Developing patience is a good one.
I think also like intuitively feeling if it's actually something you want to do.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
don't force yourself into an experience just because you think you have to.
yeah,
Like listening to your gut feeling.
100%.
yes.
Where's the acceptance of being out of control?
I like to frame that in the words of commitment and dedication as traits. Like 100% commitment. Not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take the side of the journey and see what happens. No, like I am committed to go into this space and face whatever is coming up. Yeah, that's a few traits, concepts. I'll just run through a few quick ones. A lot of you are probably familiar with the spiritual concepts. There's a lot of nice ones of people who have tried to put similar experiences of consciousness into words before. In Hinduism, in Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism, in even Christianity, Taoism. All these different frameworks can be helpful to have words of reference for, like, oh, that could be a samadhi experience. That could be a satori experience. That could be whatever words are coming up. Point to understand your experiences a little bit better. That's what I found. And of course, even these concepts can only be understood by experience, but to know about them beforehand can be very helpful, because then you can, even in the experience, have a frame of reference to have an understanding and be less afraid of what you experience. There's nice maps of people who have tried to put all of this into maps, like Stanislav Grof. He developed a framework for psychedelic experiences specifically of like prenatal experiences, experiencing your own birth, and you go, oh, that's possible, and then moving through stages of birth, and then even beyond your birth into the transpersonal realm of beyond your own life, and then experiencing all kinds of stuff that goes beyond your own life and beyond your own self. Can be very helpful to have these references. Astrology can be fun to look into.
Human design.
Human design. And there's a lot more. There's a lot more that we can look into. Science is an interesting one. I found that is kind of we have, even myself lately, but a lot of us, I say, in these kinds of circles have kind of a apprehension against science, but it can be very nice to look into science. Quantum physics is having very interesting revelations lately. Neuroscience related to psychedelics, to actually understand how these compounds work in your brain, can make you feel more at ease in the experience. Yeah, a lot of science, even sociology, understanding culture, and can help with the integration of these experiences in working and moving in culture if you choose to do so. Yeah, and practices related to the concepts, spiritual practices, deep practices that can you prepare you for the journey, deep meditations, meditation retreats, nature immersion, being in nature alone, doing an isolation retreat, being in darkness, doing breath work. There's many beautiful, beautiful practices that can help us to prepare. And that are just generally good. Like, it's all just not about the psychedelics, it's about moving towards wholeness within yourself, self-integration. And just looking up everything that can help you to move towards that feeling of wholeness is a beneficial preparation for these experiences. Yeah, probably not too much to talk about set and setting. Who is familiar with set and setting? Good, maybe just a few words. Set is everything internal that you bring into the experience. Your mindset, your character, everything you bring into the experience from yourself, your intention. And setting is your external surroundings. So the culture, the place, the actual place you're having the experience in. And as I said, for the purposes of self-realization and self-actualization, I do like, or can recommend for anybody, to go alone. To go, because it is a journey from the alone into the alone. I got that phrase from Kilindi E, who did 40 to 50 dried gram mushroom journeys. He's talking. He has seen some stuff. And then there's no other anymore. Like it is from yourself into the darkness, into the unknown. And then, like, yeah, being at a festival, being around people, I do not feel comfortable at these doses to go into these spaces. If you do not feel comfortable alone because of fear, it can be beneficial to have somebody there, a sitter or a guide or a shaman. There's a lot of complexity also in choosing one. Maybe a few words on the sitter, because that can just be a trusted friend. A sitter is a non-directive support. So when I have a sitter, I like to have them in another room. I am alone, and really just if something comes up, if I'm in actual physical danger, or I'm just completely losing it, then it's time for them to interact and calm me down or make sure I'm physically safe so I don't die. Yeah, setting can also include music. There's beautiful psychedelic therapy playlists that are composed from universities for psilocybin journeys, LSD journeys, MDMA journeys, which can be quite beautiful. You can kind of create your own little playlists. I started journeying with lyrics, which was really nice because I had really beautiful medicine music. But generally, to go deeper into your own experience, it's nice to have non-directive music as well, which means no lyrics or just chants or things you do not understand intellectually, because most of the time you want to get out of your mind or your intellect. And yeah, that's about it for set and setting. Just a few words. To to maximize the potential of mineralized risk, I do like to prepare for the journey, and preparation means planning the journey. I often find myself like, oh, maybe today is a good day to take LSD, and then I take LSD and it's fine. It can be very beautiful. But I found also that when I do dedicate myself to an experience, I'm like, okay, I feel like a topic is coming up, I want to feel into that on a high dose solo session to further my own integration and self-integration towards wholeness. Then I'm like, okay, when would be a good time? And I choose a date. And then I say, okay, in 1 month, on this day, I'm gonna approach it as a 3-day process of like really having 3 full 3 days. That's not possible, maybe just 1, but 3 days of like settling into your intention for 1 day fully, going into the journey. Just have a whole day where you have nothing to do. You can just experience what you need to experience, and then 1 day to just settle down and think about it, journal about it, and integrate it better. Because that is maximizing the potential for beneficial insight and actual integrating the experience. And this integration can I like to see it as a holistic approach. It can go from body to mind to social circumstances to environment to spiritual or emotional preparation. So for example, body preparation would be, okay, 3 weeks before I take this high dose psilocybin session, I am gonna see that I am really clear. I'm gonna eat clean. I'm gonna eat really healthy food. And even just this practice, maybe it's not even doing something for the journey itself when you eat unhealthy food before, but even just putting that awareness into your life of like, you set your mind to that for a longer period of time, for a week or 2 or 3, and you take care of your body and you take care of your mind. A few days prior, maybe you don't consume social media that much anymore. You just focus more on your intention. You do more of your preparation practices to have a clear mind, not to think about the latest meme that you saw right before you went into the journey. Can be very helpful. Spiritual preparation, just doing the practices. Social preparation, there's something called clearing, which I like to do, which is just clear out as much as possible. If you have to fix something in the house, and it's easy to fix, just fix it, so you don't have to think about it. Yeah. If you have to maybe talk to somebody that really bothers you, maybe also time for after the journey, but even before the journey, just talk to them, see what comes out. Just socially. Clear all your emails, read all your emails, reply to all of them. You don't have to think about anything. Of course, no preparation is perfect. That's also good to notice. Like, don't pressure yourself to prepare perfectly. This is just a perfect preparation. I'm not doing perfect preparation most of the time, but it's good to have the idea of like, oh, I can actually prepare properly for a journey to maximize the potential.
Perfect imperfection is a good word.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I help for planning as well is agreements. Having agreements in place, especially with people you surround yourself with. Maybe not in a recreational setting, it's like, of course there's some sort of common sense and consent, but when you have a sitter, it's like, okay, please don't talk to me. Please, if I talk to you, maybe direct my intention inwards again. Please don't touch me, I don't like to be, or please touch me if I ask you to. Just having clear agreements with somebody, and also having clear agreements with yourself. If you go in alone, I like to set agreements with myself. I'm like, okay, no phone. I just have a playlist on my laptop and I have the headphones. I do not look at my phone during the journey. I want to experience everything internally, to just everything. Or, this is difficulty with agreements, but for example, not going outside when you have a high dose session. Because I broke my toe when I was on 600 mics of acid, and I thought it was a good idea to go outside and climb some rocks. And that led to a lot of trouble because I was not being able to cross the river because I didn't take money, and I was feeling like I was fainting. But nature also can be a very beautiful setting for. It's just good to be aware in high dose journeys. Nature inevitably has more unpredictable circumstances, like animals, people, weather. Just to be aware of that, it's like, okay, it's not gonna completely storm, or if it does, I'm gonna be fine with it.
I need
Yeah, please do, please. Everybody, feel free to leave if you feel like it, or take a break, or whatever. Or yeah.
But thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's about it. And like a little ritual, I like to do a little ritual or ceremony just to, again, amplify the significance of the experience that I go into and honor it as a powerful experience. And ceremony and ritual can be very personal. You can have your singing bowl, you can have your tarot cards, you can have whatever practice resonates with you. Yeah, navigation of the space, phases of the journey. A lot to talk about it. I don't think it's too relevant at the moment. Just like actually integrating the practices, remembering, oh, okay, I can trust. Trust is another good trait I find. Trusting. Trusting, and that leads to surrender and letting go, being open to receive. That is kind of the navigation protocol that I go with. Very simple. And then there's phases of the journey of going in, reaching the peak. Usually when I notice when I come down, it's when I start to reflect upon what happened. It's like, wow, that was crazy. Then I notice it's like, oh, okay, I'm coming out of the journey. But then still give myself the time to settle again and ground myself and to integrate. A very interesting one is that I think is not talked about enough is dangerous and pitfalls on the journey of especially these deep explorations. Maybe not a comfortable topic to talk about. Any of you have experienced actual dangers in your experiences?
Yeah.
For example?
Couldn't move on a road, just laying on the road and my stuff all over the ground. And I hallucinated cars, but I don't think any cars were actually there. I was on quite a private road, but even still, just laying on the road for many hours, not able to really talk or stand up, and that's a danger.
Yeah, thinking that you're walking 3 kilometers into a village, but then realizing at some point that it's more, and getting lost in the mountains, you don't know water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a big factor when it's very warm because you're not regulating your temperature. You don't know if you're too hot or not, and then you can overheat really easily.
I think I was a danger for myself with my mindset.
I also experienced it once.
Yeah, because like I really had to get myself together and be like, okay, we're gonna think all over this again before you start doing anything and leave this room because you're a complete mess.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't even a complete mess, it was more, it hit me so hard. Everything came up, it hit me so hard. It was just too much to handle. It wasn't even a mess, it was just so much information that I got at once and so much confirmation that I was a danger for myself.
Yeah.
Fear what you told me. I also had that once.
Yeah.
So afraid.
Yeah.
Thought I'm gonna die here.
Yeah.
It was only once, but it was really, I think it's your mind that happens so much in your head at that moment.
Yeah.
That you're afraid your heart is gonna give up. Because it's so fucking. I did that once.
Yeah.
Not nice.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I found as well. Physical and mental. That's like the two main areas with a lot of detail, which we can go into. Physical dangers begins with safety of making sure no contraindications of medications you take with the substances you combine. If you combine substances, can be increasing the danger. Physical danger in the setting outside, yeah, definitely. I got lost in the mountains in Brazil once. We were out in the mountains, like 8-hour hike up, and then I took 900 mics of LSD, and we got lost in the mountains. We didn't have proper guides, but just friends who kind of knew the territory, but they were high as well, and we got lost in the mountains. And just people who were not high died there because of cliffs and everything, and yeah, that was an experience. Also, what I want to emphasize is there's no absolute safety. Like there is no absolute safety. So what I find is there's a you have to come to terms with yourself of the degree of safety you want to have, and which degree of danger you are comfortable with. And I have also to say that some of the most dangerous and thrilling experiences have been in the most fun ones and the best stories nowadays.
Yeah.
So there's something to it. But also, for example, another example, I was at the Rainbow Gathering in France. 4,000 people. There was a big fire, full moon celebration, big fire, like probably 20 meters high. Like you could stand 100 meters away and you were hot when you were naked, and it was cold, very cold outside at night. One guy, he was on LSD and he thought he wanted to merge with the light, and he jumped into the fire and had, that's gonna be, he didn't die, but he had now permanent scars. Probably his whole body was burned all over. It's permanent scars. Physical danger also, especially in the higher doses, even on substances that we haven't experienced maybe before, on LSD, especially psilocybin, ayahuasca, very common one is purging. If you go alone into a journey, setting, regarding the setting, a bucket is always a good idea. But even just like when you're alone and you are maybe out of your mind a little bit or out of your body a little bit, and you are purging, can be very dangerous to choke on your own vomit and then just die. A friend of mine he almost died on ayahuasca, doing it alone in the jungle. Walking around, getting lost, having not enough prepared food or water. All these things are just good to be aware of, to consider, to see how much you want to be safe and how much you want to prepare. Mental considerations. There's people who have deep mental difficulty and challenge after experiences. Terence McKenna said insanity is an occupational hazard in this work. So we are gonna face our fear of insanity at one point or another. But it can be very, very unsettling even after experiences. In the experiences, just completely being in a mind state of not being okay. This fear and the intense experience of panic can lead to mild or softer or even stronger degrees of PTSD, of being afraid of going into such an experience again. There we come again with the courage and how to deal with that. Many more dangers, physical, mental, social dangers of not being able to interact with culture anymore, not being able to work at your job anymore because you do not feel it's in alignment, but you don't have any other way of making money at the moment. Seeing how you want to survive. Just like all these dangers can come up. And there's common pitfalls. Pitfalls are, I would kind of differentiate them from dangers, because dangers are more like actual in the experience dangers that can harm us or other people. Harming ourselves is also another one. I saw a guy on 5-MeO-DMT. He was banging his head against the wall over and over because he couldn't believe what was happening, and we had to hold him down with 4 people. My girlfriend was at Boom and she did 5-MeO-DMT for the first time, and they were just on the rocks, little scarf, and she was having a beautiful experience, union with God, but her body was stashing around all over, and she was bleeding all over her body afterwards, and now she has deep scars all over her body because her body was stashing around and screaming and just moving onto the rocks. Just like little things. She said it was worth it. Stupid ideas is another one. Stupid ideas is a good one. I met somebody who told me it's just like even fun experiences. You're on mushrooms. He was on mushrooms with his mom, and they had the brilliant idea to play with a bow and an arrow and a potato, and they thought it was a good idea to put the potato on her head and then just try to shoot it with a bow and an arrow. Sure. Fortunately, the arrow broke in the throw, and they realized it was a bad idea. But stupid ideas can lead to dangerous situations. More common, like more subtle things that that creep into our life, which are not in the experience but after the experience itself, which we are not aware of. For example, any of your examples, or you want me to give some as a start? For example, one start is dependency on the substances. I always like to think like, oh yeah, psychedelics are non-addictive substances. That's like the casual framework. It's like, that's not addictive. And part of me is, yeah, that's true. I am scared shitless when I go into some of these journeys. But dependency can take a form of, for example, dependency. You have this beautiful God realization. You're in this enlightened state, and you depend on the substance, on getting this experience, and you do not integrate it properly to get to that point without the substance.
Yeah, that's a big argument that it's just a shortcut, right? A lot of people say like if you really want to build a proper foundation, it's good to have meditation practices.
Yeah. I am very interested. I'm not clear on this point, but that's kind of where my path is going. I want to see if it's not a shortcut. If you can achieve actual enlightenment through the use of psychedelics, continuous use of psychedelics, which is very interesting. I'm not clear. I don't know. I do not know. There's many different perspectives on it, which is like, I think the dependency is something to be aware of. Idealization and grandiosity. Idealizing these states as something better than another state.
Spiritual ego.
Yeah, spiritual ego. I am enlightened when I'm in these states. I am not. I'm shit when I am not. It's not. That's not it. It's all beautiful. Ego inflation. Yeah, spiritual ego. I am better than you because I have done more psychedelics. Such a stupid idea, but or I am more enlightened, or I have more insight, I have more experience because another person hasn't had a psychedelic experience and they don't feel like they want to, and then having this subtle superiority complex of being better than somebody else. Very subtle one. I was getting aware of it just recently. I'm like, damn, I judge people. Very subtle, very unconscious judgment of like when I just go into the streets and I see these really, people. these people who are, I don't want to judge them, but maybe you get the sense of what I mean. Being aware of that, meeting these people with compassion, and on the same level, like, because we're all humans. Dangerous ideas is another pitfall I found. Buying into belief systems, because these experiences can amplify beliefs about reality, and sometimes we're so sure that we experienced the truth, and we don't question it afterwards anymore, and then we just walk with that idea and with that belief throughout our life. So another trait, coming back to the preparation, is constructive skepticism of what entities tell you, of what kind of truth you experience. Questioning even that in the inside of the psychedelic experience itself. Because continually questioning your own beliefs and what you think is true, I think is a very valuable thing to do. Spiritual bypassing, not doing the practices. Ego backlash, like coming out of experiences and you feel shit afterwards. You're like, one day after, where's my insight? Why do I feel like this? And then you have this backlash. Having this framework of the ego backlash that inevitably happens is a very good one. I don't know where I read it. I read it that when you have 100% of expansion, you're traveling to alien civilizations and they show you stuff and you're like, great, and you bring 1% back. That's huge progress. Even if you just bring 1 or 0.1% back into your own life and you integrate that. Don't care about the 99.9 other % that you want to integrate. Even if you did that 0.1%, that's huge progress. And misinterpretation goes back to the skepticism and questioning your own beliefs. Yeah, there's many more pitfalls. Each of these we can go into hours of discussion about each of those.
Would you classify like psychosis of any sort, like spiritual psychosis, also under this, or is that
Yeah,
something else?
psychosis. I would get that under the dangers.
Yeah.
Spiritual psychosis. Very complex topic, right? Because I do feel like there's some truth to psychotic states, and even people who are diagnosed with certain signs of psychosis. The way I see it is not in a label of psychosis or not, but in a label of being able to live life
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
and
That's what I
be
found
happy with that.
as well.
If you're completely psychotic from another person, a doctor's person point of view, but you are actually happy, you know, you're harming nobody, and you're able to live your life on your own, I think that is beautiful.
I agree.
But if you have difficulty with dealing with life, and you cannot deal with life on your own anymore, and you are in very deep, challenging situations and psychotic states, it's maybe it's good to have support. Get therapy. Just get support. Like get in touch with yourself, because it's a very fine line between psychosis, no psychosis, insanity, no insanity.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one.
Yeah, I used to say that I don't really understand the difference between a psychosis and like having your third eye open.
Yeah.
Like, is it not just the same thing?
It's a
But
lot
now
of
I've
similarities.
seen how it can act on people's hearts and how it can act on their
Yeah.
state of being,
Yeah.
and that it can make people very, very uncomfortable. And that's not the way to live.
Yeah. And there's also nothing wrong with being psychotic. It's like it's a little bit.
Well, if you harm yourself or other
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
it
it's
is.
a little bit sad if you are not like aware of that. If you are completely delusional and then you don't want to admit that you need support, then it can be a little bit challenging.
What to do then?
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah. They're very difficult. Yeah. Yeah, that's it basically. There's a lot more. Integration is another huge topic, but basically everything we've talked about for preparation counts for integration. Taking the time, doing the practices, being aware of the traits, being aware of the dangerous pitfalls, and then just settle in. Have the holistic approach in mind, body, mind, emotion, spiritual, environment, and see how you can come into a more authentic expression of yourself in all these areas. Managing expectations, as I said, not expecting to be able to integrate 100% of what you experienced, but even being happy with 1%. That is huge progress. And what I've learned, coming back to your benefit that you experienced, that's one of my biggest ones. Appreciation for life, appreciation towards myself, towards the beauty of this life. Clarity, balance, authenticity, that is kind of what it comes down to for me.
It's the harmony of everything has
Yeah.
its purpose.
Yeah.
Everything's exactly how it
It's
should
like going with the flow, with the dance of life,
be.
celebrating
Everything's
every moment,
connected completely.
being as present as you can be in each and every situation. And it's a journey. It's a lifelong journey. Paradox of spiritual work. Again, circling back to the relativity of this work. I don't know about you, but my aim, as I said, is self-realization and then working towards the state of union with God. And a lot of people, when we go into the depth of that topic, it's a paradox. It's very, very deep, because this union, this ultimate absolute source and oneness is, when you merge with that, you leave this reality. And I've heard crazy stories of people who did a lot of DMT or who are serious about practices, and there's this concept of Mahasamadhi, of leaving your body consciously by merging with God forever. And sometimes they left. I don't know if they died. I don't know if there's physical contraindications, if it was physical danger, but they went. They went forever. And the paradox is kind of what many gurus who are still on this earth came to, is the way of the bodhisattva of this desire for God and the ultimate source of nothingness to manifest itself as existence, coming back and serving humanity and every creature towards this state of union. So it's a paradox, because everybody who is coming up to this infinite, a lot of people realize that there's value in going down again. A lot of paradox in this work. You mentioned no magic pill. It's not a shortcut. I think regarding the shortcut, it's not a shortcut. It's serious work. It's like it's maybe a more intense death rebirth process. When you're just doing your spiritual practice, maybe it takes you some lifetimes or just some decades to get to this point. But if you do deep psychedelic work, it can, my perspective, can intensify and accelerate this death rebirth process, and it gets more intense and intense and intense, and it gets more challenging as well. So there's like, I think it's not a magic pill, but in a certain sense it intensifies the process a lot, which has its dangers as well, of like people who experience deep physical disturbances after a lot of psychedelics, insomnia, not being able to sleep, deep vibrations, seeing auras around people. Sometimes you're not comfortable, you're not ready to take that responsibility to see auras, and can be quite challenging to be that sensitive and open. So it's not a magic pill. I think it involves real work. It's not a shortcut, and it's a lifelong process. It is a very there's not like what I found. It's not like I did it once and then I'm fine. For some people it is. For some people they feel like, okay, I've done my explorations and I'm fine with that. I come to peace with that. But I think there's always more. It goes infinitely deep. It's really and comprehending infinity can be quite a thing. It's like impossible basically. And yeah, actually, just like all of this talk is very nice, but actually it's very, very simple. It seems maybe a little bit overcomplicated. Actually, it is very simple. You take the substance, you lie down, you shut up, and you see what happens. that is it. Again, all this talk is just to maximize potential and minimize risk. And don't be too serious about this work and about yourself and about life. I like to take it lightly. Terence McKenna said, take it easy, but take it.
I had a question about the intentions, because what you were saying about just...
Can you, one moment? I want to end with the quote, and then we can open up the questions.
Sorry.
My end quote, it's just a random quote from somewhere. I don't know where I picked it up. It is not so much what we will see or whether we will completely resolve our issues. It is that we are willing to look inside ourselves and re-establish contact with the abundant dimensions we contain. The courage to go in and look deeper into ourselves is our liberation. It is in the journey that we find redemption, not in the destination. The courage we gather to face the fear of our vastness is what sets us free. We are never guaranteed that we are going to get somewhere, but we make the attempt to show up for ourselves, and that is often what heals us. So, thank you all very much.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, any questions, whatever, like to chat.
Yeah, so because you were saying about the intentions, but what you said at the end about just have to take the substance, lay down and shut up. It's like every time I put an intention in it, it feels like the substance is like, nah, fuck you with your intentions.
Oh.
I decide what I do, not you.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I'm really open and I just shut up and lay down and accept whatever the substance wants to show me, it's way more, I get way more out of it. But I would like to put more intentions.
Yeah.
But I feel like it always like works against me.
What I find is I like to set an intention, and then there was a part I left out about navigation of the space, is when I go into the space I let go of the intention.
Oh yeah.
And then I see afterwards if it had something to do with the intention or not. And yeah, because for me, often wise, most of the times it doesn't align with the intention. It's something completely different, completely unexpected.
Yeah, most of the time it feels like it's kind of like playing with me.
Yeah.
Oh, you wanted an intention.
Yeah, it's like, nah, not today.
We're just
Yeah.
gonna play with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the letting go, of
Yeah.
course, because otherwise you're still holding on to something. And
There's also more like broad intentions and more specific intentions. If you're like, I want to heal my relationship with my grandmother in this journey, maybe that's gonna happen, maybe not. When I go into this journey with intention, what is consciousness? I can relate to that better, because somehow everything has to do with consciousness in the experience itself. So it's a more broad intention. Or what is love? It's very, very broad. It opens up a lot of space to work through that intention. Yeah. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Consider myself as a person who loves to have control over his life and his things. And I noticed a lot of times when I was smoking DMT, I had this thing like I couldn't let go. So really my ego was like holding on, and there was like this ripple effect, and like my, whatever wants to go, my soul wants to leave, but I was holding on. And in these moments, there was like such a tension building up that afterwards I was like really afraid of going back. And I even, like you described, I had this fear of, I also was having much more respect, because I was always going and taking whatever came on my way, and at some point I was really like taking the other extreme.
Yeah.
So for 2 years or something, I was like, I didn't really do much. Before I was just doing everything. And my question that arises from that is, how would you approach such a situation? How would you go about it? Like, how would you go back to like gently, step by step, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question. But you are comfortable letting go into other substances? Is it just the DMT? Or?
I mean, I've been trying
Yeah.
most everything except really
Yeah.
bad stuff like heroin or like
Maybe-
my view bad stuff.
Two different approaches come to my mind. Is
Even now that I speak
Either-
about it, I feel the
Yeah.
fear in my
Yeah,
body. It's like
yeah.
it's like even like sharing this now makes me feel like a bit like
yeah. Maybe one approach is, as you said, gently,
Yeah.
very low dose, by yourself developing and tapping into that relationship again. Of like smoking very, very low doses of changa. Also different methods of consuming DMT, like oral DMT, pharmahuasca, taking an MAOI, and then
I bought like a peyote microdose thing, so I wanted to make like a
yeah.
like every day a little bit,
Yeah. Many people said when they had challenging experiences on other psychedelics that MDMA can help them to heal that, to come to a point where they are ready again to journey again. So yeah, two approaches. Just I would say gradually just smoking a little bit and just really feeling into that, how it feels, because it's not necessarily, but most definitely not going to be very intense when you just smoke a little bit, and then do that a couple of times, maybe 10, 20, and then either slowly increase the dosage and see
You
how
go
it
like every
feels.
day or once a week or how?
However, whatever feels right
Right.
for you. Yeah. If it's once a week, if it's once a day for a week, and then you take a couple month break, then
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Or the other approach would be, you say you maybe practice this letting go of control a little bit more outside of the experience, and then you're like, I feel the call to go in again, and maybe then you arrange a proper sitter, and you make sure you smoke enough, and then you go and you try to go all the way
Yeah, makes sense.
immediately, to the point where there's no holding on anymore, because you can't.
Yeah.
And that it's not necessarily going to be a good experience, but can also be an approach to go in again.
Each road is like
Yeah.
like doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. That scares me as well. Most of the time I'm not doing it, no. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very good question.
I have a question. First of all, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the
You
invitation.
talked so wonderfully. I thought maybe I'm not gonna sit through the whole thing, but I didn't want to leave. So
Yeah.
thank you. I have the same issue that Leinhardt spoke about. It's not really an issue, but it makes psychedelics highly uncomfortable. And I have it not only on DMT, that I am deadly afraid every time I feel uncomfortable trying to figure out what is going on. And I know deep inside that I need to just let that go and just let it wash over me instead of trying to figure it out during the trip. It's better to do it after. But I have this with every single psychedelic, every single time it's uncomfortable. Could it be that psychedelics just aren't for me? Or do you think it's a matter of finding my way with them? Because I feel like I've tried so many different doses, so many different ways, and every single time it's uncomfortable. And I want to love them, I want to enjoy them, but it's just not, maybe it's just not for me. Could that be?
Maybe. I don't know.
No, I'm sure
That is a
not. I
very
just wanna, like,
personal thing.
thought maybe
Is it possible that has to do with how you feel or not?
Yeah, I mean, what is the nature of the discomfort? You said it's trying to
Anxiety.
understand the experience
It's
in the
also,
experience.
Just a lot of anxiety
A lot of anxiety.
that I do feel on a regular basis as well.
Yeah.
I've had one pleasant experience. I really like amphetamines because they make me lose anxiety.
Yeah.
And my one pleasant experience was when I took 3 tokes of changa while I was on ecstasy.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's actually a really bad combination. But that was the only time that I could feel comfortable in the trip because I already was on the ecstasy.
Yeah.
That makes me feel comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I think so too. Because I have never heard that from people that want to like it. They can always find a way to go about it, but I just cannot find a way to.
I think I've heard similar things of people who are like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I have just too much trouble with losing
I
control.
don't want to accept that.
Yeah, but it's really a control thing. Because
Yeah.
I had once also like a trip where I was like losing my mind completely. I was like, wow, such a bad trip, like from my point of view. And then I remembered what my father always said, like if you fall from the bicycle, you have to get up again and try. And then 3 days later I did it again, like fully like, okay, it can't be even more bad than this, right? So I was just like so much at ease that it became the total opposite. So I was so completely like, having such a great time and appreciating life. So I think it's really about control. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there are
one,
some
You're
people
right.
that they're like, we are just trying to hold on more.
yeah. One thing could be practicing letting go of control,
Yeah.
just in your day-to-day life, even more, even if you do that probably right now, but focusing more on that. Another thing that came to mind, very dangerous advice. It's not advice.
Okay.
I don't know to which doses you went, but increasing the dose significantly can maybe push you over the edge of not grasping anymore.
Yeah.
So for example, LSD and mushrooms are very safe to do in high doses physically,
Yeah.
and then doing that with a sitter or in a proper ceremony or whatever, and then going deep in, I don't know, 700 mics of LSD, 7, 8, 9 grams of mushroom, 7 grams of
It's
mushrooms.
actually interesting because I've been on 900
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a worry.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
Still
It's
uncomfortable?
not really here anymore, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But then I feel like it could be considered like too much. If you're gonna take acid and every time you take that much, it's like
Yeah.
it's the way
I mean,
people perceive it. So
I wouldn't do 700, 900 mics in a recreational setting. I would do it in my bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the difficulty of the uncomfort in maybe low doses in group settings, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable, maybe you don't have to like it. Maybe
Yeah.
you do like the amphetamines more. Or you
Maybe
do.
your time hasn't come yet.
Yeah, maybe the time hasn't come
Your
yet.
self journey isn't. Maybe it will come, and all of a sudden you're like, this is now the time for me to wake up to all this.
Maybe you can explore more with combining, which is also not advised because it can open up more dangers and risks, especially physically. But doing the candy flip, doing MDMA and LSD, doing
Yeah.
MDMA. I did
Yeah.
2 days ago on my MDMA journey. I went into 5-MeO DMT because I just had no fear. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's beautiful, but also just doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Somebody can have really bad experiences.
definitely not ready to stop trying it.
Yeah.
Like I'm still gonna try to
Yeah.
find my ways, but if I ever come to a point where I've tried so many times,
Yeah.
then maybe it's just time to not
Yeah,
put myself in
sometimes
that
it is that way.
situation.
Some people don't experience anything on ayahuasca. A friend of mine
Yeah.
did go to ayahuasca ceremonies 30, 40 times.
What?
Some purging, but
Yeah.
like no significant experience.
Yeah, well,
So
everybody
much
is
money.
different.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe once you take away the anxiety of wanting to keep doing it because you're putting pressure on yourself because you want to enjoy it, maybe if you let go of that and just go, it's fine, this is just me for the moment. Once that settles and your anxiety goes, maybe then you become more comfortable.
Yeah,
with it.
beautiful advice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's well said.
I also just want to share, Philip, that yeah, I also really like the way that you enthusiastically were giving this talk, and it also like kind of encouraged me also. Yeah. So I'm grateful because you like went into every point, and I think this is something that I missed when I was younger, like 7 years ago when I started with all of it.
Yeah.
Because I was just like this, like adventurous guy, like not doing anything but just taking it,
Yeah.
So this feels like very like wow, it's precious work that you're giving.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much for saying
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I really appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
Because I found the same way, and that's why I'm working so hard on creating this. Because this is like, as I said, just an hour of a 1 to 200 hour course that I'm in the process of creating especially for this. And just like I didn't even include all the main points.
You
but
are creating this
yeah,
course.
and all of the main points that I wrote down have like 30 to 50 pages of notes at the moment,
Okay.
and now I'm like in the process of.
And you
yeah.
also do like sessions, probably, right? Like you
Yeah,
guide?
yeah.
Okay, wow.
I do sessions. I have a YouTube channel, Psychedelic Actualization, where I share all of my journeys and insights. And yeah, the course is gonna be crazy. It's
Would you say that this is more a bit of summary, or is it like one thing?
that was a superficial, fast overview of the outline.
Okay.
Yeah, not including two big topics, which I didn't felt was relevant, and which are the most difficult ones. Of like, what could happen in psychedelic experiences? It's infinite.
Yeah.
And how do psychedelics work? I'm figuring out. Nobody knows. Like honestly, nobody has the faintest idea.
But somehow those are the most interesting ones.
Yeah, like, I don't know how deep I want to dive into
Yeah.
neuroscience and everything. It's like all the molecules. I studied all the neuroscience courses, and then at the end it was like, yeah, but actually we don't know. It's like I don't know.
And I'm glad you mentioned science, because I always go on very scientific tangents when I'm tripping. I really enjoy that,
Yeah,
like trying to understand everything that way.
yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Cal?
Thank you, Philip.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for taking care of the
Yeah, it was really
camera.
good.
Yeah.